This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on The South Today, the new head of the merged collection of New Zealand polytechnics says some Otago polytechnic jobs aren't safe. 5 community halls around Balclutha are in for some renovations thanks to the council's quick thinking. And the Edgar Centre was brimming with activity last night with the Otago Business Awards. Tēnā koutou katoa, ngā mihi o te ahi nei, kia ora, I'm Simon Anderson. The head of the merged collection of New Zealand's polytechnics addressed Otago Polytechnic staff this morning. Stephen Town took up the newly created role in July and is currently visiting learning institutions across the country. He says not everyone's job can be guaranteed under the current economic and social climate.
Taking the stage at Otago Polytechnic, the new CEO of Te Pūkenga Aotearoa, Stephen Town, addressing staff and students.
Our charter requires us to improve equity of access across Aotearoa, and so that means we are charged with going to the geographic extremities of this country and breaking down barriers and improving access for everyone.
Te Pūkenga Aotearoa is the newly formed organisation encompassing the nation's polytechnics, with Stephen Town announced as the inaugural CEO in July. In his address to educators and learners, he says COVID-19, its effects on international students and other factors mean not everyone's job is safe.
And we are trying to preserve capacity and to retain employment where we can. But the reality is we can't guarantee every single job in our system because of the magnitude of what is occurring.
A microphone was set up for people to ask questions during the event. President of the Otago Polytechnic Students Association, Nathan Laurie, asked about student representation at Pūkenga Aotearoa.
So you mentioned this learner at the centre's working group, that will the effects of that we felt across Te Pūkenga. Could you tell us how many learners are in that group?
We've basically been visiting every ITP. I hope learners have got some awareness of that and building up a forum of participants.
Professor Samuel Mann asked whether the organisation would incorporate some of the procedures and practices of Otago Polytechnic which work. He's hoping when the new organisation takes over, they won't change systems which aren't broken.
What the Charter requires Te Pūkenga to achieve is to get a balance of regional autonomy and leadership and the benefits of a network at scale.
Stephen Town says among the main reasons for his visit to Otago Polytechnic include communicating with staff about progress around the operating model and Pūkenga Aotearoa's aims for learner-centred education. In Dunedin, The South Today.
The reopening of Blueskin Road near Port Chalmers will likely be delayed until early next week after work to secure a huge unstable boulder above the road was unsuccessful. The boulder, which is believed to weigh around 100 tonnes, is being anchored in place by metal rods and cables above the road for the past week. City Council Transport Group Manager Janine Benson says work to create an earth bund in front of the boulder has proved more difficult than first thought and extra fill is needed. The council had hoped to reopen the road tomorrow, but Benson says that's no longer possible. Quick thinking by Clutha District Council staff has secured a funding boost to help with renovations to 5 community halls in the district. Council staff were quick off the mark when the call for submissions came from the Provincial Growth Fund for shovel-ready projects.
Shovels at the ready as facilities across the south are set to receive nearly $3 million from the Provincial Growth Fund, with nearly $800,000 of that earmarked for 5 community halls in the Clutha district. Owaka Hall Community Chairman John Burgess says they're really pleased.
Oh, we're just wrapped naturally. We've been trying to get more funds for the hall through council for a long time, and the hall's 52 years old.
The Ōwaka Community Centre is set to receive more than $160,000 from the PGF, and Burgess says the 52-year-old hall needs a lot of work, including earthquake strengthening, so they're planning a top-down approach.
We'd like to start at the roof, and it is classed to get earthquake repairs because of it's only bolts on the end of the steel trusses. It's not a major thing, but it's got to be done by within the next 5 or 6 years.
He says the committee has discussed much of the work needing to be done, including either painting the exterior walls or replacing them with colour steel. Further inland and just up the road at Wairewa South, the Hall Committee says receiving more than $95,000 will help them tackle 2 of the 5 parts of the building which need attention.
The Provincial Growth Fund has allowed us 2 of those areas, so one major one being the roof, which is to be replaced, and then also new electrical wiring throughout the hall, with a new switchboard.
She says they see the hall as a valuable community asset and are thankful to the Provincial Growth Fund for financially helping keep their local hall as a meeting place for the community. In Balclutha, the South Today.
A group of about 40 people gathered in Dunedin's Lower Octagon, taking part in a national anthem flash mob, surprising onlookers. New Zealand's national anthem rang out across the Octagon around lunchtime yesterday. Organiser Nicola Lynch says she invited a few people from the city's Christian community and the word spread. Lynch says the national anthem is a powerful prayer for the nation and an opportunity to bless the country prior to election day. Dunedin's business leaders were all in one room last night at the Westpac Otago Business Awards. The event was the place to be to find out who was this year's finalists and for a chance to do some local networking.
The Edgar Centre was the place to be last night for any Otago business leaders hoping to be a finalist in this year's Westpac Otago Business Awards. The event officially announced the finalists of each award category, and Otago Chamber of Commerce Chief Executive Dougal McGowan says it's all about celebrating Dunedin businesses and the nominees.
Tonight's our finalist night. That's where they get to know that they are in the top 3 or 4 in each of the categories that they've been entered into. And for some of them up until today that's been a waiting game. Some categories had over 20 entries, so great achievement to be here tonight, and again a great celebration of business with over 120 people in the room.
Jack's Mitre 10 Mega Group Chief Executive Officer Neil Finhouse knows how much the awards mean for Dunedin businesses after being nominated in 2016 and losing to winning the Supreme Award just 2 years later.
We're a bit miffed about that, but it made us actually sit down and re-look at what we actually did, because we had a very good company, but judged against our peers it wasn't the best. So we sat down with the winner of the category that year and had a good look at what they did, and then we set about looking critically at our business and our culture with the goal of winning the retail category in 2018. So we did that. It was a great validation for about 2 years' work.
McGowan says the event was a great chance for networking, and they're looking forward to award night next month.
We're really excited. 13th of November, big gala dinner. It'll probably be hopefully the largest event that we have in town for the next wee while, because that'll start that, create some of that event that we need, and hopefully that might be the stimulus for others. So great formal dinner, might be your Christmas dinner function for your staff.
In Dunedin, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today, a grand old vintage car is set to go for a drive, and we meet a youngster from Alexandra with a passion for Lego. Ka kite a koe nei.
Hi, Campbell Menswear. We're back in George Street on the corner of Hanover Street. Come and check out our big store. It's a big space full of bargains. Now look at these shirts. There's shirts for everybody here. Look at these merino pullovers, stacks of moleskins, literally tons of trousers. Check out these big racks of sports jackets. Beautiful.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So come and check out Alex Campbell Menswear. We're back on George Street in the old ANZ building.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, You owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole Map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
Hoki mai anō, welcome back. There are few Kiwis who can boast of owning a car more than 100 years old. Colin Winter has spent this week getting his 1900 Wolseley Voiturette in top shape for a National Veteran Car Rally this weekend.
Colin Winter has a different definition of pedal to the metal. The 74-year-old is polishing up his 1900 Wolseley Voiturette for the National Veteran Car Rally in Gore this weekend. While he enjoys being behind the wheel of the 120-year-old vintage car, he'll be taking it down by trailer this weekend as it may be a little slow for State Highway 1.
We'll do somewhere around about 40 kilometres an hour, maybe 45, good going. Yeah. If you get it downhill, we'll get up to 50. Yeah.
Winter says his car, nicknamed Grandma, will be the oldest of the about 50 vintage cars expected at the rally, with all being built in 1918 or before. Grandma has been in his family for as long as Winter can remember, and while it's not the easiest to drive, it needs to be taken out regularly to avoid rusting away.
I've been brought up with it. This car's been in my family as long as I've been there, so I'm 74, so you know, my father had it before me, and she's a really good, reliable little car.
Without a roof on Grandma though, Winter says the only thing left to do is pray for a sunny day. In Dunedin, the South Today.
The joys of Lego are set to be celebrated thanks to a young boy's big idea. Ben Pell has taken it onto himself to organise a Lego-themed event for his peers to show off their engineering talents.
A cancelled event during the COVID-19 lockdown gave Ben Pell of Hawea an idea.
During the COVID-19 lockdown, there was supposed to be a hobby show at the Lake Hawea Community Centre. It wasn't going to focus on Lego, but it would have had some Lego in it. And I thought it'd be a cool idea to have something instead of it.
He got in touch with members of the Lake Hawea Community Centre.
So I went and talked to them about it, giving a proposal to them. And it was about the Lego show, and then they've agreed, and then I've worked with them to plan the Lego show.
Lego could provide lots of inspiration.
There's a lot of stuff you can make with Lego. There's probably unlimited choices. I have some big some cars probably 30 centimetres long, so I've got 3 of them, and these work with my transporter that can hold 5 cars. So it's quite a big Lego set. It's like 1 metre long when fully extended, so it's pretty big, and it took me a couple of days to build it.
The show will be a chance for local children to get creative.
Probably the Lego show, we're having a competition. It's going to be a competition for under 6s, 7 to 11s, and then 12 to 16-year-olds. So it's going to be, you build your own model, and then you'll bring it in on the Friday which will be the weekend before the display. The displays will be on the 14th and 15th of November.
In Hawea for the South Today.
Tonight we bring you another chapter on Dunedin's risk of an earthquake similar in magnitude to the ones that damaged Christchurch 10 years ago. One expert has identified a subdivision recently built on a large fault line south of Dunedin.
Just south of Taieri Mouth, the Clutha District Council approved a subdivision which will be built right on top of the Akatori Fault, a fault which shoved the ground up several metres in an earthquake only about 700 years ago.
First of all, I wouldn't build in this area because I studied earthquakes and earthquake faults and seismic hazard, so I know when you do get an earthquake, the place where the shaking is strongest tends to be right by the fault. And the other thing is that when you have a fault present, generally the ground has been quite pulverised by your prehistoric earthquakes. So the foundation conditions can be a little bit challenged.
However, Professor Sterling says modern house construction is much more robust when it comes to earthquakes.
What we've seen is that New Zealand housing construction nowadays is pretty resilient. So actually, you know, if there was an Akatori Fault earthquake tomorrow, these houses would probably be okay, but there might be, depending on what sort of foundation conditions they have, there might be foundation damage. I would hope they've got reinforced concrete slab or piles rather than the unreinforced that was so damaged in Christchurch.
The Clutha District Council says it allowed the subdivision to go ahead as long as houses were built more than 20 metres away from the actual fault line. In Dunedin, the South Today.
After the break on the South Today, golfers tee off at a charity golf tournament in central Otago, and we look at the weather on the gradual decline towards the weekend. Hea koko aki nei.
Season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell menswear, it fits.
TV, our favourite babysitter, but it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air, and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Hi, our Campbell Menswear. We're back in George Street on the corner of Hanover Street. Come and check out our big store. It's a big space full of bargains. Now look at these shirts. There's shirts for everybody here. Look at these merino pullovers, stacks of moleskins, literally tons of trousers. And check out these big racks of sports jackets. Beautiful.
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits.
So come and check out Alex Campbell Menswear. We're back on George Street. in the old ANZ building.
Step into Shop on Carroll and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
No mai nor. Ashburton was the place to be for keen golfers recently, with the charity tournament attracting more than 100 participants. But there was one particular competitor who garnered the most interest.
Chowing down before teeing off. Cantabrian golfers flocked to the Ashburton Lions Club recently for brunch, golf and the goal of raising money for those in need. Tournament organiser Bruce Ferryman says more than 80 people got stuck into brunch and more than 130 golfers took part in the tournament. And, in spite of the light-hearted nature of the day, the competitors meant business.
A lot of serious golf today, I think, yeah. There will be some having fun, but it's normally a fairly serious game, yeah.
However, there was one white-capped golfer whose swing got more attention than most.
We've had Sir Richard Hadley has been here. He was a speaker at the breakfast, and he's actually going to be teeing off at 11:30 with 4 others to play, yeah.
The ex-fast bowling great donated not only his time, but also a wealth of cricket memorabilia, such as signed bats, balls and copies of his compilation book. Sir Richard Hadley held 2 auctions at the breakfast which raised $2,050 and included the prized possession of the skipper's diary. Another auction will be held after the tournament. In Ashburton, the South Today.
And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. Otago Polytechnic staff were introduced to Stephen Town, the new head of the merged collection of New Zealand's polytechnics, who says some jobs may not be secure. Some quick thinking by the Balclutha District Council has secured some renovations for 5 community halls in the district. And finalists for this year's Otago Business Awards were confirmed last night at one of the largest business community gatherings this year. And now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT, we welcome editor Barry Stewart.
Hello, Simon. The final leaders debates, Jacinda Ardern versus Judith Collins. Who will have the last word in the final debate? Well, our political writer, Mike Houlihan, will be there to give his verdict.
Right.
So get that in your paper tomorrow. A man deported from Australia and now living in Dunedin talks to us about his fight to return to his family. We also hit the streets, controversy down south. We hit the streets of Invercargill to get views of people on in the south on how they rate the performance of Mayor Sir Tim Shadbolt.
Yeah.
The All Blacks, of course, that's on Sunday, so once you've voted and the results are out, you can sit back and watch some rugby, but things didn't go so well last weekend, so our rugby writer Steve Hepburn ponders what the All Blacks need to do to lift their game, essentially, on Sundays. So all that and lots more, and of course just a little reminder that get out and vote.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Great, Barry, thank you.
Thank you.
And time now for a look at tomorrow's weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Starting with today's southern view over the overbridge at Dunedin Railway Station. Looking at the situation, mild northwest airflow turns cold southwest as a cold front moves over southern districts later tomorrow. That cold air hangs around on Saturday before warming up to end the week. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, where it's partly cloudy, Westport on 13, Greymouth on 14 degrees. To the northeast, where the sun is shining, Nelson on 14 degrees, Blenheim 16. Sun 2 in Canterbury but the cloud encroaches the further south you go. 15 degrees in Kaikoura, 16 for a mostly sunny Christchurch and partly cloudy in Ashburton on 16 degrees. To the southern towns, where it's southwest winds, rain and 14 degrees for all. The Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore. To central Otago, where Wanaka, Queenstown and Alexandra have the same lot with 16 degrees, decreasing northwesterlies and rain later. Te Anau has more in common with the southern towns, southwesterly change, rain easing and 13 degrees. To the northern towns, where high cloud is accompanied by northerly winds on the coast, moderate in Timaru on 19 degrees, fresh northerlies on Oamaru on 17, fresh northwesterlies greet Twizel and Amarama both on 18 degrees. In Dunedin, breezy, cold northeasterlies tonight on 5 degrees. Overcast tomorrow with moderate to fresh mild northerly winds. Strong, cold southwesterlies developing early evening with rain. A high of 16 and a low of 6. Showers clearing Saturday morning, but skies remaining cloudy and temperatures cold as northeast winds develop. A high of 11 and a low of 7. And in Invercargill, northwesterlies freshening tonight with a low of 9. Periods of rain tomorrow morning with fresh, gusty northwesterlies changing to showers and fresh, cold southwesterlies around lunchtime. Showers clearing tomorrow night and winds easing, a high of 14 and a low of 5. Fine with sunny periods and some cloud on Saturday, cool with light winds, a high of 12 and a low of 6 degrees. And that's the news this Thursday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz or follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Nō reira, kia pai te pō. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.